Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Another video, another day in the stock market, but the stock market is not open because today is Good Friday. However, that is not stopping certain companies that I'm invested in pretty heavily from releasing press releases. I just did a tongue smack and everyone's gonna, or a lip smack, whatever that stupid thing is called. Everyone's gonna hate me, or the people that really hate that are gonna hate me for doing that. Let's get into this press release. This was an interesting one. Boom. Palantir expands long-standing CDC partnership for disease monitoring and response. We're going to read through this. This was released at 6:59 a.m. on April 15th. Now, we know Palantir has a relationship with the CDC, because if we just Google this right here, Palantir CDC, we're going to see in February 22nd, 2022, the CDC has partnered with Palantir to bolster the fight against COVID. And we talked about this a while back. So the idea here was, this was actually in mid-2020 when they were doing the COVID vaccine distribution stuff. They got a $5.3 million contract, and this was just talking about like what the results of that was, how Palantir actually created something meaningful for them, and how that helped Palantir with the CDC, along with the fact that Palantir also worked with the NHS in the UK for their for their COVID vaccine distribution. So Palantir, when COVID was really rough, was working with a lot of parts of the world, especially the United States and the UK, to actually be able to manage the data for vaccine distribution. Now, that has led them to expand their relationship with the CDC. So let's read through it here. Palantir today announced an extension and expansion of its work with the U.S. Centers of Disease Control through the Outbreak Response and Disease Surveillance Solution for the Data Coalition Integration of Public Health Events, the Decipher program. Over a decade ago, Palantir and the CDC initially partnered to support the agency's efforts to manage foodborne outbreaks, and the partnership grew to countering Ebola and the management of anthrax and bacterial special pathogens. This is something I forgot to mention. I remember reading an article about this like a couple months ago, that yes, Palantir has been working with the CDC for a long time. That's why this relationship with the CDC for COVID, it wasn't like, it made sense that they picked them to work with them, right? Because Palantir actually stopped, or they helped stop Ebola, or they helped manage it to some extent. Palantir's work on the Decipher program utilizes the Palantir Foundry platform, their flagship software, to support the time-sensitive data integration, management, and analysis that widespread events require. Basically saying, look, when a widespread pandemic breaks, or any type of event, maybe it's not like COVID level, but something happens, there needs to be a lot of things that go into a place. A lot of data around organizations, institutions, stores, companies, businesses, individuals, people going from here to here, travel data, weather data, all of this stuff. Like, this is the value of big data at scale. You put all this stuff in one place, you're able to spew out results that help you better understand what you need to do to mitigate the problems that are happening, and to at least stop some of the larger things from happening at scale. And that's sort of the value of it. Since its first project in 2010, Palantir and the CDC's Decipher program have increased their efforts together to include additional foodborne pathogens, respiratory pathogens, genomic-specific data challenges, as well as facilitating expanded collaboration between the CDC and state, tribal, local, and territorial partners. These initiatives are separate and distinct from Palantir's COVID-19 response work with U.S. federal agencies. So Palantir is making sort of a point here in the press release to be like, look, we work with them on COVID, but we're much, 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 much more than just the COVID-19 company. We do a lot of other stuff that exists. Let's read some of the quotes. "We are honored to continue and expand our longstanding partnership with CDC in support of the public health surveillance and outbreak response," said Dr. William Kessler, Chief Medical Officer for USG at Palantir. USG stands for United States Government. "Beyond COVID, by incorporating innovative genomic workflows into traditional public health surveillance, CDC is building upon its foundational investments in a modernized technology infrastructure." Interesting. So he's saying that this partnership is going to allow the CDC to build upon its foundational investments. Okay, so they're talking about how the CDC is basically going to be able to integrate Palantir in different elements of all the things they do when it comes to public health and when it comes to mitigating the risk of outbreak responses. That's how I'm interpreting that quote right there. Select examples of the programs currently using Decipher include the System for Enteric Disease Response Investigation, the National Center for Immunization and Respiratory Diseases, coordination, and that's a whole ass System for Enteric Disease Response Investigation, the National. It's a big ass quote. Okay. And National Wastewater Surveillance Systems and CDC's Division of Foodborne, Waterborne, and Environmental Diseases. Leveraging the platform, including reusable data frameworks and workflows, Decipher has enabled work groups across the CDC to rapidly integrate data, carry out analysis, and configure operational workflows for public health needs. The result has been highly synchronized surveillance and coordinated operations and response. I mean, this right here, this paragraph is the basis for the press release, right? Like this is the point of the press release. This is why it's valuable. When you leverage Palantir's platform, you're able to get access to data frameworks and workflows that allows you to operationalize your data. At the end of the day, that's what it means. What does it mean to operationalize something? It means when you have a bunch of data in one place, operationalizing it means, how do I use this in my operations? How do I execute against this? How do I make sense of this stuff? How do I actually use this in a way that changes the basis for how I create a workflow? And a workflow is just like what you're doing within the certain amount of data that you have. So when they say this result has been highly synchronized surveillance and coordinated operations and response, they're saying the workflows, the analysis, the rapid integration of data, this has allowed them to synchronize the stuff that they are doing at scale and actually coordinate, like make sense of, put things here and here to get their operations and response to actually work. Palantir Foundry enables data-driven decision-making by integrating data from siloed data sources and enabling granular access across various organizations. It is used by several health agencies, including the National Institutes of Health, the Department of Health and Human Services, and the Food and Drug Administration, and was also used by several military branches to mitigate the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, what does this mean from the business sense? This is not going to be a new client for their governmental business. This is going to be a new revenue coming from the governmental business as a result of existing clients. So, I don't know if this shows up in Q1. I don't know if this shows up in Q2. But whatever amount the CDC is paying, let's say they're giving him, I don't know, $20 million for the next 4 years, then those $20 million will be added to additional governmental revenue. It's also going to be a question of Palantir and their financial people on how they're going to count that. Are they going to count like 10 million this year, 5 million this year? What are they really going to do? What we need to see on the next earning call, even if it's 91, is just more governmental agencies, right? More governmental clients. They had 90 last year. They had 90 this year, or 90 2020, 90 2021. So they weren't able to add a new governmental agency. This led to a lot of hesitation by people like Kathy Wood saying, hey, where are they? Like, if you're going to add, if you're not going to add more governmental agencies, is there way too much competition? And does that mean that governmental growth is going to slow down the company's growth? I think that's false, but I do think it would be nice to see another client, even if it's 91. If we get something like 110 clients, it's like, okay, you added 20 more governmental agencies. Even if they're small little contracts, you were able to penetrate, you were able to break through, you were able to get people to believe in the product at some level, and you were able to keep things moving. So that is ultimately what I want to see. Again, more governmental contracts are good. More revenue from existing governmental clients are good. This also validates the idea that Palantir just has amazing net dollar retention. And we already know this in the numbers. I think it's like 143%. But net dollar retention means when it's above 100%, that means your existing clientele base are giving you more bang for your buck. They're giving you more dollars out of the contract because they want more products, they want more services, they want more things out of the contract, which means your net dollar retention, every dollar you have retains itself more and more because that $1 makes you more dollars within those companies, which is good. It means the product is sticky. It means companies want to use it. It means organizations need to integrate it, and it means they're finding multiple use cases for it. And that's why I invested in Palantir in the first place. The question is, for Wall Street, can they just integrate into some new governmental clients? I mean, that's all they really need to do for the next earnings call, for me, to make it seem a little bit more successful than the last one. So there it is, Palantir partnering with the CDC. I'll leave the press release in the description. You guys can check it out. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you guys enjoy your weekend, and let me know any thoughts in the comments. I'll see you in the next one.